Nancy Drew, The Haunting of Castle Malloy. A fanfiction by Southern Belle Nicole. Chapter 1. When Malloy called Nancy from London and asked the young detective to be her maid of honor, Nancy was a little reluctant. After all, Nancy has not seen Kyler since she had stayed with the Drew a few years back as an exchange student. But when it was brought up that the wedding would be held in an old family castle in Ireland, how could Nancy say no? The event is planned to be a small one, however, Kyler still needs help with the final preparations, which means the women expect Nancy to arrive several days early. At the moment, Nancy is on a plane heading to Dublin and scheduled to land around 6 o'clock. Before the teen left, Kyler called to warn that the place was somewhat in need of repairs. Unfortunately, by the time the girls arrive it will be the night, which will keep her from getting a good look at the place until the next day. Nancy was not too upset about it. She had never even seen a castle, let alone go inside one. Plus, the fact that it might be dark and run down kind of excited the girl. Nancy is always on the lookout for adventure or trouble, whichever my dear reader may choose to call it. Let me get this straight. Your plane arrived on time, your luggage was there, and the rental car was waiting? Sounds like everything was off without a hitch, Nance. Ned said from his college dorm at the River Heights University. Yeah. Get this, according to the directions, I'm within 2 kilometers of Castle Malloy. Now stop worrying about me and go have some fun at the Dunhills party, love. By the way, what time is it there? It is pitch black out here, said Nancy over the car's built-in hands-free Bluetooth system. Around 2 in the afternoon. The party must have just started. And believe me, Jessie Dunhill's party always go on all day, so I've had plenty of time. Hey, are you driving? Yes, Ned, I'm driving while on the phone. Chill, it's okay, there's absolutely no traffic out here. I'm way out in the country. I think the gates are right up ahead. Got to go and love you. Say hello to the Dunhills for me. Remember to have fun. Without you? Yeah, right. See you later, Nancy. Just then what looked to be a ghostly figure of women in white dashed across the road and spooked Nancy. The girl hit the bricks, but it was too late. The little silver went over into a ditch. Force of it made the girl's body shoot forward. Nancy blacked out from the impact. Not long after, the teen came to with a bad headache. Oh, Lord. Dad is going to kill me over this. After getting out and inspecting the car, it did not look that bad. Just one had burst and a small dent to the right. Come on, Nancy said as she cracked up the car. Darn it. In the middle of the night, to just my luck. The car was in deep of a ditch to get out without help from a tow truck. The inside car light was still working. With it on, the teen was able to dig through her zebra-patterned duffel to find her trusty vintage flashlight. A detective never leaves home without one, she chuckled. With flashlight in hand and Nancy's duffel over the left shoulder, the teen got out and shut the door. A wild noise pierced the night, sending goosebumps up her spine. She nearly jumped out of her skin before taking off, running down the dirt road. Luckily, she did not have to wander far before coming up to the front of the castle. Here a large arch marked the way with an old stone bridge in sight behind it. As the girl walked up, she stepped on something. A doll? What in the world is this doing out here? It kind of looks like a groom. Creepy, all right. Nancy questioned before picking it up and carrying it in her thin arms. The path continued up the way and led right to Castle Malloy. The gate was dimly lit by 2 small fixtures on either side. Reaching forward, the girl knocked hard 3 times, desperate to get inside away from the cold night air. An old man came to the door and stuck his head out. Nancy shook her head, trying to clear it. Hello. I'm Nancy Drew. Here to be in the wedding. The wedding has been called off, the girl. Go back home where you belong, he replied, not showing our emotion. No, wait please, I'm stuck here. My car is in a ditch. Go walk down the road where you will find a small inn. Hand me your keys so that I call it in the morning, answered the man, holding his frail hand out. Nancy checked pockets, then dug through her duffel, careful not to let the man get a peek at her underwear inside. I must have left them in the car, said the girl with a weak grin while scrubbing her shoulders. Can I at least talk to my friend? She's sleeping, yelled the man as he slammed the thick metal door. Oh, come on. Please. Hello. Hello. Pleaded the girl. Chapter 2. Defeated, cold, and tired, Nancy slowly turns to leave on her heel. After taking a few steps, movement caught her eye from up above. Looking up on the second floor, a light flicked in a tall window. There's someone up there. I bet it's Kyler, she mused. She shone her flashlight around trying to find something useful. Under run, she finds some small round petals and beans to pick them up. Hope my aim is not too bad. She throws two but misses. The trim hit the wooden window trim. Come on. I can do this. Nancy took great care with the last pebble and threw it will and her might. Oh my lord! Nancy exclaimed as it went through the glass, leaving a small hole. Hopefully she will not notice, Nancy said with trouble's expression. A moment later the curtain was pulled aside, revealing Kyler. She stood there with an amused smile. The women started to wave, then pointed down towards the gate. Not too eagerly, Nancy headed back over there, took a deep breath, and knocked 2 more times. The same man one again came to the door, then stood there with it half open, guarding the way. Deaf are you now? I told you can't be staying here. Donald, what are you doing? That's Nancy Drew, my maid of honor. Let her in, Kyler said from inside. Without a fuss the man opens the door wide and steps aside. Once inside it was dimly lit. Kyler appeared down the hall and waved Nancy over. Let's go talk in my office. It's more private there. The office was small but homey. The walls were covered in old wallpaper and bookshelf everywhere. Kyler posited herself behind the large hardwood desk, where she turned on a bright lamp. She was a young woman, only a year or 2 older than Nancy. Through she had a plain face, her bright jade eyes, slight skinny frame, and long curly ash brown hair more than made up for it. So I guess you heard Matt disappeared. Nancy sat down and made herself comfortable in a leather chair before saying anything. Her feet were so sore from walking the rocky grounds. Matt is gone. But he came all the way from Britain just to marry you. Well, he hasn't disappeared for good. You have to understand, Matt is a bit of a prankster. The wedding is still a few days away, no need to worry, replied the woman while she nervously played with her hair, endless twisting soft curls around her ring finger. She avoided eye contact as well. You mean the wedding hasn't been cancelled after all? Nancy exclaimed, watching her friend's strange body language. Absolutely not. Matt will show up. It is just like him to show up when I'm walking down the aisle. He will say something silly like he just wanted a wedding no one will ever forget. Then why did the man at the door tell me it was called off? Nancy asked, shifting her weight, trying to keep her leg from going asleep. Oh, that is out caretaker, Donald Delay. Not Donald, mind you. Make sure you never call him that. We pronounce it the Ishish way. Pound of his heritage, huh? Said the girl detective, trying to act interested. Indeed. He likes me enough, due to my rich Irish heritage. But can't stand my British fiancé. That is why he was so quick to tell you the wedding was cancelled. Believe it or not, he wants it to be called off. He has even came out and said it. He claims if I marry a foreigner it would upset the fairy people. But Kyler, are you sure that you don't want to at least postpone the wedding until Matt shows back up? Nancy urged, trying to talk some sense into her friend. I'm telling you, he will show up. However, I do remember your interest in solving mysteries, so if you want to help, by all means, do. You should start in the nursery. It's down the hall. That is where Matt set up his cot and spent most of his time here. She got up and started pacing the room, lost in thought. Go find him, Nancy. Having you ruin this silly vanishing act of his would teach Matt a much-needed lesson. Nancy cleared her throat. Someone ran out in front of my car, causing it to end up in a ditch. Oh, my. Are you all right? Kyler asked as she said beside Nancy touched the young girl's arm gently. Oh, I'm fine. Keep in mind, Nancy Drew is way tougher than she looks. My car, on the other hand, is another story. I'm pretty sure the women dropped this on the road. Nancy said as she pulled the strange doll from her duffel and handed it to Kyler. The clothes. It looks like Matt, and it also has his ring around the doll's neck. What did the person who dropped this look like? The woman questioned with her hands shaking with eyes trained on the doll. Well, I couldn't really get a good look. It was very dark out there and I was distracted. Quite frankly, I'm not even sure it was human. When Matt went missing, the groundskeeper wore it was fairies that took him. Crazy, right? My best guess is it was Matt himself you saw, dressed in some sort of outlandish costume. He loves to frighten people almost as much as pulling pranks. I do sure hope he was been enjoying himself, because when we are married this will end. That is that no more pranks ever, exclaimed the woman, balled up her small fist. Does it bother you being here all by yourself? Nancy asked while shifting her weight in the chair. Actually, Matt's friend, Kit Foley, is here. He has set up a cot in the great hall downstairs. When did he arrive? Nancy questioned, intrigued by this. The case same day we did. Has anyone tried to search for Matt? Kyler sighed deeply and stared at the floorboards. When Matt went missing we were frantic. We searched castle, grounds, and town with no sightings of him. When I got home that night, I heard him call to me. Where has this happened and what do you mean? In this room, the nursery, sometimes outside. His voice always sounds far away, sort of muffled. I've tried but have been about to find the source of it. It is Matt. I'm sure of it. That is why I believe he is just playing a prank like always. She replied, facing Nancy and looking into her blue eyes. Thanks, Kyler, I will let you get back to reading and explore a while. Nancy as she got up to leave the room, her bag still in hand. Kyler smiled weakly in response, then turned back to her book. Chapter 3. As Nancy leaves the office and walks into the dimly lit hall, her foot catches on something on the floor. This trips her, however, the teen reaches out and is able to grab hold of a lighted wall mount to steady herself. Looking, an old vintage lantern lays sideways on the floor. This might come in handy. Better keep it, mused the red-haired teen, before picking the item. Down the hall, on the left, she finds the old nursery and walks in. One quick glance around the room reveals a small child-size wooden bed covered in many years of dust and stains. Nancy went further into the room. A tiny table with matching chairs sat in the corner with a broken tea set on top it. Next to this is a large chalkboard with "Evil returns to the evil doer" written across it in faded lettering. This place looks like it belongs in some B-horror movie. In its day though, it must have been nice. Nancy comments while exploring the room. Small rag dolls and chatter toys littered the surface of an antique dresser. Nancy noticed across the room, over my Matt's cot, there was a small rocking horse. Bring peeling paint covered it. The girl reached out to touch, causing it to rock. Beneath it a small object came into view. Upon further invention, a strange copper coin was found with 3 clovers on it. Just I will keep this too, said the girl with a scrub. What caught her attention next was the dollhouse by the door. It was not very deep with a usual red button on top. She pushed it but nothing happened. Then the girl noticed the side of the outside left wall was loose. Touching it she felt to move as if on a hinge. She pushed it all that was open to expose a complicated puzzle. Well, Kyler did tell before coming to her grandfather used to be an inventor, so my best guess is there are lots of puzzles like this all over the house. Leaning in closer to read the old puzzle. It had pictures and arrows. It seemed to say a blue sideways arrow meant beside. Red meant 1 over, then so on. Based on the clues, she had to place the dolls at correct positions on the dollhouse, then press the red button on top. It took Nancy 30 min. To figure it out based on the pictures. In the end, the red button opened a small compartment revealing 2 more coins like the one found under the rocking horse. Now bored, she heading to check out the rest of the place. Continuing down the hall, she entered the main hall. It was once a grand room, now missing 1 stone wall to the far right. A large fireplace roared in front of her, drawing Nancy toward the warmth. Strikes me as a large living room with a panoramic view. She joked. Well, hello, you must be Nancy Drew. I'm Kit Foley. Please ignore my black eye if you can. Walked into a door the other day, said the young 20-something man, stretched out and across a cot with a notebook in hand. He was dressed in dark jeans, plain white tee, and a black jacket. He had a slim build, pale blue eyes, tan skin, and thick black hair. To be frank, I'm shocked you are still here, given the circumstances. He added, sitting up on the thin koi to get a better look at Nancy. I was going to say the same about you, responded the girl as she pulled away from the hearth and inched closer towards the other guest. Unsure what to think of him just yet. Chapter 4. The dashing looked deep into Nancy as he smirked. Leaning forward, he shifted his weight in the cot before looking up towards the ceiling absent-mindedly for a moment. Nancy, I'm not about to leave Kyler her in a run-down place like this all by herself. Just look at the open wall behind you. Do you blame me, Nancy? Until Kyler comes to her scenes, I'm not leaving. They stepped forward and sat down opposite from him on the cot. Giving him a questioning look, she asked, clear it up. What do you mean, comes to her scenes? Come on, we both know, Matt is not playing some practical joke. He does not appear to be kidnapped by fairies. He has cold feet, it's just as simple as that. Have you tried to tell her yet? No, I haven't had the heart, or the guts, take your pick. He left her, but keep in mind she can be a handful. He is no pushover either. Their relationship is quite tempestuous, it scares him. Kyler seems to think all that will be solved when they marry. He doesn't believe that. So he left with even leaving a note or sending a text. That is not right, commented the girl with a look of disbelief, with arm folded across her chest. Oh, I'm sure he will contact her in a day or 2. Matt's not that bad of a guy. In the meantime, she is in a raging state of denial, and I for one don't see any harm in allowing her to stay that way, said the man angrily as he stared back at Nancy in a heated manner. I hate to any, but when, or how, did you realize that Matt had disappeared? Kyler and I went out for some air, came back, and the next thing I know, she was saying Matt was gone. Nancy rubbed her tired eyes, trying to stay awake before turning back to him. When did you last see him? It might help somehow to find him. Kit yawned and stretched his arms, clearly ready for her to leave, but keep on talking. In the nursery, messing with stuff. For some ungodly reason, he insisted on being in that room most of the trip. God only knows why it is so depressing in there. Whenever I would tease him about it, he'd always give me this impish wide grin, like a little boy up to something. That was the first place I checked after learning he was missing. With his bags gone, it dawned on me what must have happened. Just common sense really, replied the man as he moved to lay back on a pillow. I was surprised to meet you here. You sound so American. Are from there as well. Nankwords why pre-Trinity to be friendly in hopes he would open up just a bit longer. The girl wouldn't blame him for sending her off any minute. It had to be close to midnight. Yeah, I am, Kit answered tiredly, barely able to keep his eyes open. We moved here years ago. My father is the VP of International Sales for Krollmeister Incorporated. Wow, that must have been had to moving overseas. Is that a sketchbook beside your bed? Don't tell me you're an artist. If you are, I must see the arts interest me deeply. Oh no. I work for a real estate company. From time to time they have my work on designs for them. Let me tell you, we would have a field day with a location like this. Ocean views, easy commute to Donegal, and ready-to-sell groundwater would make this a perfect area to buy luxury homes that would sell like lighting. Kit said a little loudly, clearly a bit excited at the opportune. Well, I must scoot. Sorry to take up so much of your time. It is far too late at night for this, said the girls as she got to leave the room to go and find somewhere to sleep for the night. If it to help your friend, I understand. Keep it real now. Chapter 5. On the way from the main hall, Nancy notices an old-style fortune-telling machine half hidden behind a curtain. It was a type like you would see in traveling carnival back when she was little. It was rough and looked like a work in progress. Half of the original faded paint had been stripped off with rust-tainted bolts running along its sides. I wonder if this thing even works. It doesn't even have a figure inside it, just machine parts are visible behind the glass. Nancy wondered while straining her eyes to get a better look at the inner workings. Curiosity sparked within Nancy before the teen started digging through her pockets for quarters. The machine appeared to take 3. After loading the quarter, nothing happened. She shook the machine lightly and hit the fortune button. To her dismay, the money was returned as a message printed out on ancient yellowed paper. The cause only festival lucky coins accepted. With a picture printed of the clover coin below. What, I only have 2 of those. Man, I wonder if Kyler's grandfather had planned on switching this machine over to normal currency. Just then some causes her iron coin was just visible under the rusted-up machine. Turned out to be none other than a clover coin. The machine buzzed loudly, then produced a irradiating knocking sound. Afraid it would alert the troll-like butler, Nancy searched frantically for a way to shut it off, as 2 strange wooden pieces fell from the machine. Oh Lord, did I break it? Wait, wooden parts shouldn't be part of a machine. That just doesn't seem right somehow. She examined. Without thinking, she pocketed the items and dashed away. Somehow she ended up at a small side door. It was held shut but an old half-rotten wooden latch. After messing with it for a little while, she managed to pry it open. It led outside into a little courtyard in what looked to be a small abandoned garden. In its day this area must have a mad, secret garden feel. The girl was slow to step out with all the strange events of the night, but ended up stepping out anyway, leaving the wooded door cracked. She was tired, jet-legged, and need just a moment to clear her mind before finding somewhere to rest for the night. She could not believe Kyler had not offered her anything to eat or a place to sleep when Nancy arrived. Kyler was always known to be an absent-minded girl, so Nancy tried not to hold it against her. She walked carefully along, guided by the moonlight, taking in the country air. Ahead a light captured her attention. Where are the lights in that tower coming from? She quested, looking up towards sky. The place had 2 towers, however only one was shining. Strange. The girl took a few more steps and manages to find a cement bench to rest on. After sitting down, the young girl delight at look up towards the stars, try out to find the constellations. A few like thing only accessible far away from the bright cities. The teen had just found the Big and Little Dipper when her hand felt something beside her on the bench. It felt like paper. Touring on her flashlight, she learned it was a note of some sort. It appeared to be a set of vows in draft form that Kyler was writing. What caught her eye in the end was down very at the bottom. It said, "What am I doing? This is wrong." What in the world? Nancy's hand covering her mouth in shock. Behind her rusting noises could be heard and what sounded like wolves howling off in the distance. Clutching the note in hand, the teen found her way back inside before locking the door. Before heading off to find Kyler. Chapter 6. Nancy found Kyler asleep in the same chair as earlier. The teen reached out to shake her friend gently. "Kyler, it's so late, we need to go to bed." Go away," was the response. Aggravated, Nancy rolled up her sleeves and proceeded to shake her friend hard. "Wake up." Kyler shot up frightened, mouthing something about a ghost. Nancy took hold of her shoulders and started the girl straight in the eyes. Kyler's bright green eyes softened as she began to be more aware of the surroundings. "Oh, Nancy, please forgive me. Before I knew it, sleep had overtaken me. It must be so late." "Yeah, right around 1 a.m. Forgive me, with all that has happened, I just haven't been myself. In truth, I didn't even realize you were supposed to arrive today." The brunette shook her head, trying to clear her thoughts. "You will have to stay in the nursery tonight until I can make up a place for you tomorrow. Matt's cot will do for just 1 night. "Really?" Nancy gulped, just her luck stuck in a madhouse. "I guess that will have to for tonight." Nancy pouted just a little but tried to hide it, not wanting to look ungrateful even if she was feeling so.